Hey everybody, it's Tim Hinton, the Beast of the Marching Arts, and we are here to celebrate the exciting release of a new helpful resource at Marching Arts Education.com. I'm here with Paul Richardson. Paul, how are you, sir?
Wonderful, man. The day's finally here, Tim. I know, really proud of the work that we put in on this, and it's exciting times.
I know. So we're here celebrating because Paul and I have been working on this for months and months, and it's been a labor of love. And so we're talking about the new course called The Do's and Don'ts of Paying for Drum Corps. Just go to payingfordrumcorps.com. It'll take you right to the page at Marching Arts Education where this is available. This is free for anybody who might be able to get some help out of it. Paul, you came to me with this idea, and I want to first off say that during this time of weirdness and quarantine and stress and shutdowns and everything, one of my personal ways that I'm trying to get through this is I always look for the helpers. Just like Mr. Rogers always said, when in the middle of any sort of crisis, look for the helpers. That really helps me. Like, oh, there's somebody helping somebody else get through this or making it better. I want to say, Paul, I think you're one of the helpers. So thanks for doing that and bringing this idea to me.
Wow. Well, thank you for the kind words, first of all. I love that Mr. Rogers quote. I do the same thing. And I think you and I are probably in the same headspace during this really interesting year that we're having, right? Very, very unique. So yeah. And Tim, I just want to thank you for being open to this idea, right? I know there's a lot of hours that go into making a course like this. And the fact that one, even wanted to entertain this conversation, but two, we're very open to making sure that we could keep this free to the membership. That was really important to me. And so I just want to thank you for finding a way to make that happen. Because I know at the end of the day, this is part of your career here, that you've made a lovely space in the marching arts, being able to pay the bills, serving this community in 1,000 different ways that you do. So thank you for working with me on that.
No, of course. I think it's very exciting. And of course, our most exciting part is that this presentation, this resource,
whatever,
Marching Arts Education has been officially endorsed by Drum Corps International. I mean, we did this for Drum Corps. Right. I mean, we both love Drum Corps. You and I both marched. We have great experiences there. We both worked with Drum Corps, with marchers. And so DCI, Drum Corps International, has signed on and has said, okay, well, we are officially doing this in partnership with Drum Corps International. They've endorsed this corps. We have gotten words out to all the corps. So if you're watching this right now, thanks for watching, and please help us get the word out. We want everybody who is already marching or planning to march this year or thinking about marching sometime in the future, or if you're a teacher or an educator or an instructor that works with students who are thinking about marching or are marching, you know what we're talking about. They need help coming up with the dues, their tuition to march Drum Corps. And actually, this is applicable to the winter activity too. I mean, Paul, you started this whole process of learning how to do this when you were working with Gateway Percussion, an indoor drumline group, right?
Absolutely. That's really how I ended up even in this space at all. Was very, very fortunate to be around for all 15 years that Gateway was there. Very honored to have been the executive director for a lot of those years. And yeah, that's kind of how all this started. Was just like every other group, we had members that were struggling to not just find the strategies or come up with the money, but even just to understand some of the basics about how the world of personal finance and donations and all that stuff worked. Because it's just like every other skill, right? If you've never done a drop spin, your first attempt is going to be a little rough, right? You need somebody to help show you what's going on. And financial education has historically been a gap in education. I'm very, very happy to see a lot of schools are now making that mandatory. A lot of public schools are adding those courses in, but that's still not the norm. And so, that was a challenge that we were trying to solve at Gateway, was how can we help our marchers who were struggling to understand where this money was going to come from, how are they going to pay, and they're coming to weekend camps stressed out, not because like this activity is hard enough without adding money worries to it, right? And so we had this subset of kids that were coming to camp with this extra burden on them. So in trying to just find different ways to help solve this problem, I kind of ended up working with a lot of students individually, and that really is where the foundation for this whole course came from, right? Is I would work with a dozen-ish students every year. And, after a decade of that, all these themes started to emerge. And I had this just collection of success stories and failures, right? I mean, things that just didn't work or didn't, and got to discuss why. And so, when we started talking about this, that was kind of the genesis, was just, I had this collective wisdom, right? Of not this isn't me, right? Every technique that we're talking about, everything in the course has a person attached to it. Somebody did this well, and I wanted to kind of get that information out there, because I mean, let's face it, talking about finances it's just not very sexy, right? I mean, it's not nearly as fun as talking about your favorite show and your instructors and designers and all of that, but it's really, really necessary. And so, that's originally why I reached out to him, was just to ask from your perch in the activity if you saw material out there, and here we go.
So we're talking about our new resource at marchingartseducation.com called The Do's and Don'ts of Paying for Drum Corps. If you're watching this, anybody that has anything to do with marching groups, drum corps especially, tell them about this. Go to payingfordrumcorps.com. Anybody can sign up totally for free. This is a free resource. And actually, even at the end, if they watch all the videos all the way to the very end, which we hope they will, then we have a special offer for those DCI marchers and aspiring DCI marchers from Marching Arts Education. It's pretty cool. So I like a really big discount on something that we think could be really helpful to them. So Paul, you're an example. I get people that contact. It's wonderful now, after 10 years of podcasts and all these years of doing webinars at Marching Arts Education, people contact me and they'll be like, I have this idea for something that I think might be a good topic for a podcast, or an idea for a course, or something that we can do to help. You came to me and I immediately, when you said this idea of helping people come up with, learning better ways to earn their money for their dues for drum corps, I was like, that's a great idea, because this is discussed all the times in all kinds of different ways. And then you sort of won me over, because you had this experience of, listen, I've really done this. I know what works. I know what doesn't work. I just thought you were a nice guy. And I thought, okay, can I spend some time with this guy putting this together? Because it's a lot of hours we put together, Paul. So, and I still think you're a nice guy, even after,
wow.
Going through this.
All right. Well, we've made it through. I haven't run you off. So that's good. No, Tim, this was actually a lot of fun, man. I mean, I've been fortunate to be around the activity for a long time, work with a lot of people. So, I'm right there with you, man. This is a passion project for me, right? There's no, I'm not ever trying to make any financial gain off of this. I'm just trying to give back to the community that's done so much to change my life, right? I have so much to pay forward from all the kindness that was shown to me. Like, I'm really happy to find this outlet. And Tim, to your point, I don't like to spend a lot of time with jerks, to put it bluntly. So thank you for being as wonderful in person as you are on the podcast that I've been listening to for a decade. You have 1,000 episodes yet? Like, you're in the 900s, aren't you?
We're getting there. Where I think I've just posted 920 something.
Oh man!
Yes, I'm hoping that come on, everybody, pay those memberships a little bit. I want to do sign up, support us. And now that I say that, I'm like, I want to be somewhere wonderful, like on podcast 1000. Like, hopefully, like, that's probably going to time out somewhere around DCI next summer. So I'm hoping that I can be at some DCI show or something when that drops, and it's sort of an exciting event. But yeah, thanks for mentioning that. But let's talk about the course for just a minute. We're talking about the do's and don'ts of paying for drum corps. Anybody can go to payingfordrumcorps.com, sign up for free. It takes about an hour to go through it. There's 4 different topics, and I just want to talk about these really briefly. The first one is about the mindset or the perspective around money, which I think is really important. Then we talk about actual how to budget and plan. Paul, people are terrible at budgeting. And this is information, like, if you're just watching this and you have nothing to do with drum corps, but you're terrible with money, or you think you need budgeting, sign up for the course and watch the part about budgeting. Paul, you give a lot of just basic good information.
Thank you. Yeah, it's really meant to be just kind of budgeting 101, right? I mean, our target audience is young people kind of just starting out in their lives, and budgeting is a skill. I'm years old. It's been a couple years since I aged out, and most people my age don't know how to budget still after decades down the road, and that has cost them years of their life that they have to keep working, or hundreds of thousands of dollars, right? So these are skills that while they're necessary to kind of tackle this immediate concern of how am I going to pay for drum corps, man, they are applicable as you go on, right? And so it's really kind of meant to be just a very, very quick, very basic, easy foundation. We actually throw in just a very basic kind of budgeting spreadsheet and throw out some different softwares and tools. So yeah, even if you're not of marching age, that section in particular, I think could be pretty valuable.
Yeah, and that's like 10, 15 minutes, everybody. This whole payingfordrumcorps.com, do's and don'ts of paying for drum corps, this whole thing is like about an hour. Okay, so it's not like we're asking for a whole lot, but we feel like if we can get these marchers who are trying to figure out how to raise their money and get their money for their dues, if we can take an hour, give them all these ideas and tools, and these are tried and true methods that we know work. If you know anybody, please let them know about this. Payingfordrumcorps.com. We're giving them these tried and true methods that have worked. Paul's worked with groups. He's worked with individuals. All these things we know are. We tell them this is how you should do this part. Don't do this, because that's not going to work out well. The next part, how to ask. You talk about how to ask family, how to ask friends, how to ask businesses. We give very concrete suggestions on exactly how to do that. It's really interesting, Paul. Like, I learned a lot. I wish I had known this when I was marching.
You and me both. Tim, if we've done this right, and I think we have. Invest an hour now, as early as you can, when you're trying to figure out how you're going to pay for this. It should save you many, many hours by the time you leave for tour, right? That's the whole goal here, because we want you to figure out what tools work best for you, and we want you to be as efficient with your time, fundraising, working, whatever you're going to do. We want you to be as efficient with that time as possible, so you can spend less time on the finance and more time in the practice room, more time preparing to have just a stress-free, amazing, life-changing summer.
Yeah, absolutely. So after the whole section about how to ask, we give lots of concrete information on the best way to do that. Here's how you should approach a business. Here's businesses you should approach. Here's how you talk to family members about this. Here's how you talk to people that know nothing about drum corps. All this information is there. Again, the whole thing takes less than an hour. Payingfordrumcorps.com is where this all happens. Then there is a section about how to borrow. And we say at the very beginning of that, now we really hope nobody ever needs this section, because, we think we give you tools that you can earn them money and not have to borrow money. But if they do, Paul, we do have some sections on bank loans and student loans and even credit cards, just to give people basic information.
We do. And for this section, we brought in an expert, a friend of mine, Evan Guerra, who's been in the DCI and WJ community for a long time. And also has, not quite just under a decade working for banks in lending, right? So he was able to provide a lot of technical information. But yeah, just to your point, that is to make sure if you have to borrow as a last resort, how to do it responsibly, right? And that's information that we do. We get a little bit technical on some of those. We kind of deep dive into a couple of those sections. So which again, if you're not of marching age and you're trying to get some basic information about, car loans, house loans, things like that. There's some good information there, some kernels for you to take with you to continue to educate. Lending is a little bit complicated, so if you are going to do that, start here, continue to ask questions outside, and make sure to read the fine print.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's a lot of good information. I learned some things. Actually, after we recorded that part, Paul, I literally called up my financial advisor and I said, let's talk. Because seriously, I really did that. Because I was motivated to do some things differently with my own financial life, just from the information I learned. So if you're watching this, everybody, payingfordrumcorps.com is where this happens. It's a new resource at marchingartseducation.com. It takes about an hour. It's the do's and don'ts of paying for drum corps, help DCI marchers be able to earn their dues. And listen, if you are a band director, or you're a parent, or you are an instructor that works with students, and you know that everybody, no matter what kind of situation you're in, we usually have somebody that's thinking about wanting to march drum corps, please let them know. This is a free course. Anybody can take it. Go to payingfordrumcorps.com. It takes you right to the page at Marching Arts Education where this is located. You can sign up. It takes about an hour. You don't have to do it all at once. You can do it in your own spare time. You can watch each video as you have time to go through it. The response so far has been really positive. People found it really helpful. We've had some students that took the course already, and they've been telling us things like, wow, there were some concepts that really changed the way I thought about doing this, or about my own relationship to money. So that's been really gratifying, Paul, that people are really finding it helpful. And we're hoping that drum corps love it because, I mean, they hopefully their dues will come flying in easier and earlier, and their students and members will be less stressed out.
The goal here is for everybody to win, right? The drum corps, the members, because this is there's not like millions and millions of dollars in the drum corps community that people have that they're just waiting to give, right? So this is really ways for us in the like enclosed drum corps bubble to find strategies to help pull money from outside of that into the drum corps ecosystem entirely, right? So that and it's a great thing. The less time that drum corps have to use helping their membership find strategies to pay for dues, the more time they have to spend on the programming and all of the other things, right? And so that is kind of the hope, is that by having this education out there and educating the members and making this process, which can be painful, making it a little bit easier, we're kind of hoping we get to take a bunch of hours not spent on that and pour those back into the drum corps, into the product, into the experience, right? So that's, I know, grandiose visions here, right? But that's that's ultimately what I would love to see happen. That would be that'd be the biggest win possible.
I think it's what's going to happen. I mean, we want to save people time. I mean, if you're a student and you're trying to figure out how to raise $4,000 or something, most people have no idea how to do that. And we're here saying, okay, take this hour, go to payingfordrumcorps.com, sign up, watch this thing. Takes about an hour. You will come away with definite strategies so that when you do start to spend your time trying to figure out how to pay for your dues, you have these concrete suggestions and strategies that have been proven to work for people. And believe me, the last thing on the list is GoFundMe, everybody. Okay. I mean, GoFundMe is a great tool, but we tell everybody do all these other things first, and we tell you why they are a better place to start. So, Paul, I think you did a great job of laying that all out. Everybody, if you know anybody, tell them to go to payingfordrumcorps.com. There's a podcast out right now. If you go to the website, payingfordrumcorps.com, I keep saying that, but there is a lot of information about it. You can watch some videos. There's a video there to sample the coursework. These videos are also available on the Marching Roundtable Marching Arts Education YouTube channel. So if you're a YouTuber, you can turn that on while you're having dinner tonight. See Paul and I talking about sampling the coursework, et cetera, et cetera. So check out the podcast. Go to payingfordrumcorps.com, and especially help us get the word out. Like this video, share this video with somebody if you think that they might enjoy it. Tell them about the podcast. Tell them to go to payingfordrumcorps.com, all that to try to help out. And while you're at the site, hopefully sign up for a membership to help us keep this information and this good work going. Like Paul, as you said, this is free for everybody. We did not get a sponsor because we didn't want any conflicts of interest with anybody not feeling like their members could go here and use this resource. Thanks again to Drum Corps International for endorsing this, partnering with us on this. So this is presented with Drum Corps International officially. We're very, very excited about that. And I'll just mention, by the way, if you're watching, thank you for watching this video. I have a live webinar tonight that's completely free about You Can Have the Whole Works. It's one of the live webinars that we're producing at Marching Arts Education. I'm going to talk to people about the fact, do a lot, sort of some career coaching, life coaching, and we're going to talk about how society tells us that you can't have everything, but that's not true. You can be healthy and have a great job and have a great relationship and make plenty of money. You can do all those things. It's not like you have to give something up to make it all happen. So this is what we're going to talk about tonight. Hope you'll consider signing up for that. Paul, I've been very long-winded here as we're closing, but that's all very exciting. If you're watching, tell anybody that's doing this that could use this resource, payingfordrumcorps.com. What do you want to say in closing, Paul?
Man, I think you've said it all. Payingfordrumcorps.com. And let's all have a phenomenal DCI 2021 and beyond.
I can't wait. And if the work we just did, Paul, making this resource available really helps people have a better experience, raise their dues and their tuition money easier, and then have a better summer, man, it's all been worth it. I think it will be.
Yeah.
Thanks, Paul. Thanks everybody for watching. Really, really appreciate it. Paul, it's been great spending time doing this with you. Help us get the word out, everybody. Thanks a whole lot.